right, we'll get our hair out, Ooh, ooh, y'all, when you scratch that itch, feels good. Hi, friends. It's Tanaya Shea here. Hope that you're doing well. I just got a light thing for my videos to, brighten up things, and it's very, very bright. So, getting used to that. Um, okay, so how things have been. It's been a couple weeks. So, I went back home on, I believe it was the weekend of the 21st. I went back home. I was helping out some friends of mine that are planning a church. They had a worship night, and it was so much fun getting to be a part of that. It was also really good getting to be back home as soon as I was. It snowed here, and it was a lot. Got to actually see a gospel choir from Nashville, which was really special. They were incredible. And just got to be with my family, be back home with Story Hill, play on the drums one more time for a while. And it was really dope. It was a good experience. It was a really good experience. So, emotionally, getting back, I felt like being back as soon as I was made leaving, like, all of the emotions that like hadn't necessarily hit me yet started to hit. So one night I was hanging out with my sisters, and I didn't even know I was going to be able to see them that weekend, so we fit it in. And I'm hanging out in their kitchen, and I'm looking at my sister Ray, and I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to see my sisters whenever I want to anymore. And so that hit me really hard. And even like just I stayed a little longer than planned because one of my boys, Jack, I didn't get to see him on Sunday, and so we're coordinating, and I stay in a little late so that I can see him, just give him a hug. And then I got to go back to on my way back to Tennessee. Uh, I swung through Knoxville, stayed the night there, and it was really good to just kind of take my time getting back. That has been I guess a perk of being unemployed is that my schedule is really open right now. And so as I bring that up, a prayer point, I need to find a job. I'm trying to trust the Lord's timing with all of this, but there's like a latent stress. I don't know if it's latent or dormant, like just under the surface, kind of there. Of, okay, God, I know that you're with me, and I also know that I need to pay bills. And so I'm able to take care of myself for a little bit, but need to figure that out. And so that's going on. But the past week and a half has been incredible. One of my good friends, Josh Scott, he's a big reason for why I moved. He's been really helpful in just kind of encouraging me through this process. But he was in town, and he invited me to so many things. Was like just the best, like tour guide. But it wasn't like, let's go to all these fancy places. It was like, I'm gonna take you and introduce you to these cool people. And I just got to build relationships with people that normally I would not have any reason to know. And it was really special. I loved it. He sent me, one of the first things he did was he sent me to this, they call it like, it's like an improv night, but they call it a jam. And so in those spaces, no cover music, everything is improvisational, full band. It's like at this like lounge club thing, and it's invite only. So I go there, and I'm just watching, and it's some of the best musicians I've ever seen. Like, it is just electric. Like, everything about it was just so special. And just like admired it. Like, it was everything that I moved to Nashville for. But I even like, it exceeded my expectations of like, oh, like this is how good the music is over here. And so it was just wild, so fun. Um, there was a worship retreat that he was playing at that I got to sit in on for 2 sessions and just meet a lot of really cool people. Lots of late nights. Lots of late nights in town, just kind of hanging out, making friends. But then on Sunday night, was it Sunday night? I think it was. I We went to this other jam, and the first one kind of like intimidated me a lot because I mean, I'm a good musician, but I think when you're in a smaller space, like it's easier to feel like a big fish, you know? I mean, I knew there were better musicians than me in Charlotte for sure. But you know, you get those moments where you're feeling yourself a little bit. And oh my God, I felt like a guppy. Like I felt like a small fish. And so it was a little overwhelming, like seeing, you know, it's improv, but then like they open up the instruments for people to come play, and like not everybody gets to stay on the kit. Like not everybody does well, you know. Some people, you know, it's sink or swim, and some people sink. And so I'm looking at that and I'm like, I'm just gonna stand at the shore today. But on Sunday I got this opportunity to play drums at another jam, and I held my own. One of the things that people say here is like, you just gotta hold it down. You just gotta hold it down. And so, man, I held it down, and that was fun. So, just a lot of really cool experiences like that. Um, from a spiritual standpoint, I'm doing okay. Just need to kind of figure out new rhythms. This is like a pace of life that I'm not used to. I think there is so much fun in this like spontaneity of everything, of like every day this week has been a new day, like a completely different experience from the day previous. Like zero mundanity, I think is the word. Um, Everything just feels like something new, like a new adventure. And that's been really fun. And it can also be a little disorienting to not have like a rhythm that's predictable. And I definitely had that when I was back home. And so there was a lot of good in predictability, and there's a lot of like, in predictability. There's a lot of fun in spontaneity, and there's a lot of like, and so I am learning to figure that out for myself of like, all right, I've got to find a rhythm that's healthy for me whilst also being like available, because that's a lot of what this space is availability. And so, yeah, thinking through all of that right now. And yeah, I think too, like life as a non-church employee is just different. And so, yeah, I think in good and in bad, like there's a lot of um, external healthy like pressure to be extra righteous as a church employee, not in like a prideful sense, but in a like you're more cognizant of your conduct and things of that nature. Not that I've been like out here wilding, but just, you know, it's different when you don't work for the church anymore. And so, not working for the church, always living for Jesus, and just kind of remembering that though on like the external, I'm not viewed as I'm not a professional Christian anymore, but I still have that responsibility to live in the world, but not of it. And so I'm in it in a way that I just wasn't before. And so, yeah, another thing you can pray for. Things are going well. I actually have a really cool opportunity tomorrow it started this morning, but I'm going to be a part of a writer's camp for a group called Porter's Gate. If you don't know who that is, check them out. I have done nothing to connect myself to this group. I reached out to a friend named Andrew who helped me like with advice in terms of like moving here and making that decision. But he texted me yesterday and he was like, "Hey, one, when do you want to hang out? Two, are you free Wednesday and Thursday for this camp?" And I was like, yes, and yes, I do want to hang out, and of course I'm available. And that was a moment for me of like, okay, maybe this is why I don't have a job yet, because I am very, very open to everything right now. And that has been like a huge blessing. And so praying this morning and just being like, God, thank you for this, and the reality that like I have done nothing to deserve any of this, but God's grace is a beautiful thing, and his love for his children is a beautiful thing. And I am resting in that, and trying to be grateful for just all of what's happening, because it's really been special. Another thing that I've noticed in this time has been like, because I was a worship leader for so long, a lot of the music I listen to is Christian music. And so most of the music I listen to is that. And so Josh is introducing me to all these different artists that I don't know, like, I don't know who they are. And I find out like one of them drummed for Rihanna and something crazy like that. And like, I love people. I love getting to know people. I literally wrote a song that says getting to know you is the sweetest thing. Like, I enjoy that process of really, really getting to know people and not having like, I'm not good at small talk. I am prone to deeper conversation, which can be like overwhelming for some people. But I've noticed that people want to go deep most of the time. And in this space, I I mean, I experienced this on a very, very small scale of like when you work for the church, you are seen at a higher rate than you are actually known. And so it can be really hard, like people coming to you and feeling like they already know you and you don't even know their name. And I'm sure like as a celebrity or as like a famous musician, like that's probably an experience that people have all the time. And I didn't know their music. And so I'm just like meeting all of these really cool people, not knowing any of their accomplishments, and just like asking them, hey, like aside from music, like what do you love? Aside from like who are your favorite people? That like the simple questions that I guess people don't ask them because everybody's just trying to get something from someone. And I just was able to see the fruit of like of those type of conversations and seeing people be vulnerable in ways that I wasn't expecting, but also just realizing like my experience working in youth, being in the church, like the truth is that people deeply desire to be known and to be known well. And I have gotten to see that of just like giving people space and the opportunity to be known outside of the content that they create or the music that they produce. And it's beautiful music, but they are even more beautiful people. And so that's just been a huge blessing, and I'm thankful for that. And so that is my, I guess, 2 week update. I'm going to read from Every Moment Holy, and then call it. No idea what we're reading. Another cold read. We're going to do For Nights and Days of Doubt. And I'm not necessarily in a space where I'm like doubting everything, but I've had that. I've definitely had that. No moments yet where I'm like, why am I here? I think I have gotten that affirmation or confirmation maybe from God that like, all right, this is where I need to be right now, and I made the right decision. But then it's like, I was telling a friend of mine, like, you have this moment where It's like, okay, maybe this is why I don't have a job yet. But then the question in your brain is still, but like, why don't I have a job yet? There's still that sense of doubt in a lot of spaces, or at that spot it's called the Flamingo Cocktail Lounge, where they're playing this music and they're incredible. And I'm like, am I good enough? And still having that question and getting on the drum kit and my throat's dry because I'm so nervous, more nervous than I've ever been. And then it's like, oh, I am good enough. But then still asking that question, like in other spaces, like there's a lot of doubt that comes into my head right now. And so it's there. It's not like overtaking me right now, but I figured it's good to read. So if there's anything here for you, then I'm not going to say you're welcome because I didn't write it, but praise God. And thanks to the author. Actually, okay, Douglas Kane McKelvey, I think is how you say it. A Liturgy for Nights and Days of Doubt. I would that my heart was ever strong, O Lord, my faith always firm and unwavering, my thoughts unclouded, my devotion sincere, my vision clear. I would that I dwelt always in that state wherein my belief, my hope, my confidence were rooted and certain. I would that I could remain in those seasons when assailing storms seem only to make faith stronger, proving your presence, your providence. But it is not always so. There are those moments, as now, when I cannot sense you near, cannot hear you, see you, touch you. Times when fear or depression or frustration overwhelm, and I find no help or consolation. When the sea walls of my faith crumble and give way to inrushing tides of doubt. Have I believed in vain? Are your words true? They seem so distant to me now. Is your presence real? I cannot feel it. Do you love me? Or are you indifferent to my grief? Under weight of such darkness, how can I remember the sunlight of your love as anything more than a child's dream? Under weight of such doubt, how can I still proclaim to my own heart with certainty that you are real? And so, Jesus, I do now the only thing I know to do. Here I drag my heavy heart again into this cleared and desolate space to see if you will meet me in my place of doubt, even as you mercifully met your servant Thomas in his uncertainty, even as you once acted in compassionate response to a fearful father who desperately pleaded, I believe, Lord, help me with my unbelief. For where else but to you might I flee with my doubts? You alone have the words of eternal life. This I know to be true, my Lord and my God. You are not in the least angered by my doubts and my questions, for they have often been the very things that lead me to press closer into you, seeking the comfort of your presence, seeking to understand the roots of my own confusion. So also use these present doubts for your purposes, O Lord. I offer them to you, even as the patriarch Job made of his pain and confusion a petition, even as the psalmists again and again carried their cries, their questions, their laments to you. So would I be driven by my doubts to despair of my own strength and knowledge and righteousness and control, and instead to seek your face, knowing that when I plead for proof, what I most need is your presence. In your presence I can offer my questions, knowing you are never threatened by my uncertainties. They do not change your truth. My doubts cannot unseat your promises. You are a rock, O Christ, and your truth is a bulwark. Is that how you say that? Bulwark? That I might dash myself against. I'm going to read that again. You are a rock, O Christ, and your truth is a bulwark that I might dash myself against, until my strength is spent and I collapse at last in despair. only then to feel the tenderness of your embrace as you stoop to gather me to yourself, drawing me to your breast and cradling me there, where I find I am held again by a love that even my doubts cannot undo. O Lord, how many times have you graciously led me through doubt into a deeper faith? Do so again, my Lord and my God. Even now, do so again. You alone are strong enough to carry the weight of my troubled thoughts, even as you alone are strong enough to bear the burden of my sin and my guilt and my shame, my wounds and my brokenness. That's a weird paragraph. You alone are strong enough to carry the weight of my troubled thoughts, even as you alone are strong enough to bear the burden of my sin and my guilt and my shame, my wounds and my brokenness. Actually, that's really powerful. O Christ, let my doubts never compel me to hide my heart from you. Let them rather arise questions to begin holy conversations. Invert these doubts, turning them to invitations to be present, to be honest, to seek you, to cry out to you, to bring my heart fully into the struggle rather than to seek to numb it. Let my doubts become invitations to wrestle with you through such dark nights of the soul, as Jacob wrestled with the angel, until the day breaks anew, and I am fresh, wounded by your love, and resting in the blessing of peace again in your presence. Now, O Lord, may the end result of my doubt be a more precious and hard-wrung faith, resilient as the Methuselah tree, and a hope more present and evergreen, and a more tender and active mercy extended to others in their own seasons of doubting. So help me, my Lord and my God. I have no consolation but you. Meet me now in this eclipse shadow of my doubt. Lead me again into your light. Amen. Boy, that was a doozy. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to this week's vlog life update. I pray that if you are in a space of doubt, that the words of this book, of this prayer, would wash over you. And I look forward to sharing more content with you guys as I continue this journey. Thank you for your support. I love you. Bye.